Welcome into the Cowboys Report. I am Tom Downey. More trades will happen before/during the NFL drafts. Let's put together 5 fun, slanted in the Cowboys' favor, to be clear, trade ideas for Dallas, beginning with, we'll hear your thoughts first. Name a player who you want to trade for. Keep it somewhat realistic. Don't be putting Patrick Mahomes in there or Stephon Diggs. Those are not happening. Semi-realistic names in the comment section right now. The first one is pushing the boundary of the realistic trade idea. Jeffery Simmons, who I know he'd love to be a Cowboy. Titans get a first-round pick and a conditional pick next year based on if and when the Cowboys reach a long-term deal. And if a first-round pick, if they have playoff success and re-sign him, or a future third. So remember what DeForest Buckner went for, who I think was close to as good as what I consider Jeffery Simmons as. That was a top 20 pick. So this is more in the Jalen Ramsey, DeForest Buckner trade value. Tennessee still might want more, but hey, it's the Cowboys show. We're going to lean in the Cowboys' favor here. Simmons wants a massive new contract. The Cowboys, the one thing they've been missing outside of when David Irving cared about football a little bit is that disruptive, dynamic interior presence. Jeffery Simmons is that dude. The really good numbers don't even reflect how good he is as a pass rusher. The pressure rate's higher. The run defense has been great in Tennessee, in part because of Jeffery Simmons. There is a very short list of defensive linemen in that 3-technique mold, that pass rushing focused defensive tackle, who I would consider better than Jeffery Simmons. It's the Quinnen Williams style of player who I would love to acquire for this team because it elevates that defense to another level. Now, the money's a problem here because he's going to want $23 million at minimum. He's not going to take a discount. He wants, generational money type of deal. He wants to set himself and his family up there. Who can blame him, right? It would be expensive from that standpoint. So you have to consider that in mind in terms of you're moving a lot of assets capital-wise from money and from draft picks. That might turn off the Cowboys a little bit there. Now, we'll focus on the player side here, not including a draft pick as part of the trade. The Cowboys have made 2 great trades, Brandon Cooks, Stephon Gilmore. Will they make a third? Y for yes, N for no. It is the pinned comment on today's video. So if an ad break comes here on YouTube, please just ignore the ad and go spam your votes in the comment section at the pinned comment. Y for yes, N for no. Another DT, Ed Oliver. And I think the trade value for Ed Oliver is lower than what people might think. I'm going to go a 3rd-round pick for Ed Oliver. He has not lived up to expectations. There's no way around it. The undersized DT has not been the guy I was convinced he was going to be coming out of Houston. $10.75 million due this year, fully guaranteed. Bills might like to ship off that player because his production's not that great. 5 sacks, 3 sacks, 4 sacks, 2.5. Missed some time this past year. That's not worth $10 million. Now, in theory, playing alongside Micah Parsons, Tank Lawrence, etc., would make it a more productive. But I think the 3rd is on the higher end for the player we've seen so far. I know he's a big-time name. I know that he was a top 10 pick. Don't get too attached to where a player was drafted. That will result in sometimes some outsized player value. We see it all the time. You were a top 10 pick or you were a late-round pick for a reason. Therefore, you fetch more value maybe than you actually should. Look at what Sam Darnold got traded for after all. Now, if the Cowboys make a trade, we're going to be going live, right? Don't miss out on anything here at the Cowboys Report. News, rumors, free agency trades, and the draft as well. Hit that sub button right now. All right, let's get wild, have some fun with it. Instead of drafting a tight end in round 1, how about you take Kyle Pitts? A creative trade package here because the Falcons have a high asking price, and you probably don't want to just give up your first-round pick. So the Cowboys get a first and the Falcons second. The Falcons then get the Cowboys first and the Cowboys third. The trade value in the end is an early second-round pick. Now, it would require the Falcons to be out on Kyle Pitts. That's probably pushing it, but imagine Pitts on this offense. Oh, man, the Cowboys love him going to Florida. Who didn't? He's just been underutilized by the coaching staff and bad quarterback play. Mariota just didn't look at him for some reason there. I would love to get Kyle Pitts. Do not call him a bust, by the way. I know the numbers were down this year. A rookie tight end with 1,000 yards does not happen. Does not. So for Pitts, it's probably on the lower end of the value scale. It's okay. Like I said, we're leaning in the Cowboys' favor here. I bet they'd ask for a first-rounder straight up. But adding him to the offense adds just another dynamic element to an offense that, in theory, given how good they've been the past couple years, would be taking a massive step forward between Cooks and Pitts and, in theory, some offensive line help. Now, maybe in general, you just don't want to trade your first-round pick. Cowboys' track record is great in round one, not so much in round two. So would you move the first-round pick this year if you were the Dallas Cowboys? 1 for yes, 2 for no. Go vote for me in the comment section. I have no idea what the actual trade value is of Isaiah Simmons. I think he would be awesome in Dallas. I'm going to go third-round pick and a conditional pick next year based on playing times, incentives, extensions, etc. there. I don't think he's been utilized that well by Arizona. They're going to rebuild. They're kind of in a different role. They are Hassan Reddick him, where Arizona did not know what to do with Reddick. They finally figured it out in his final year. They let him leave. He goes to Carolina. Philadelphia has great years in both spots. The numbers actually aren't that bad. I think the ideal usage for Isaiah Simmons is to let him be a bit of a chess piece and kind of fill, to an extent, that Jaron Kearse role as almost a strong safety, linebacker, sometimes overhang hybrid. Arizona kind of did a little bit on that front, but never really fully committed to it, which I think was a potential problem there. Arizona they're going to have to rebuild. Now, it might be a short-term rebuild, but they love taking linebackers, Isaiah Simmons, Zaven Collins, and not knowing what they're doing with them. I think if anyone can maximize Isaiah Simmons' level that we think he can be, Dan Quinn is that guy. I don't think anyone would maximize Simmons in the same way that Dan Quinn could. Now, you might have too many similar guys between Simmons and Kearse and Wilson. That's a valid concern. But, I mean, I think that's like what Jabril Cox on steroids, right, in terms of the Isaiah Simmons role. So if the value is right, hell yeah. Who knows what the value really will end up being, though. Sleeper trade idea. How about you call Tennessee about Caleb Farley? Because you don't need a corner this year. Caleb Farley, who I like, in exchange for Kelvin Joseph as a throw-in, we'll trade you your troubled guy for our troubled guy and the nicest pick in the draft, number 169 overall. It is Tennessee selling low on Farley, probably too low, but despite his immense talent, he has been unable to stay healthy. And I think the trade value, Farley, you shouldn't give up much because he hasn't played football. He's played 12 games in his NFL career. He missed his final year at Virginia Tech. The athletic traits, the upside is awesome. This is your just shot in the dark, day 3 gamble. If the 5th round pick is all you give up, it's fine. And I honestly kind of doubt anyone would want Kelvin Joseph, but hey, let's try, because I think Kelvin Joseph is firmly on the roster bubble at this stage. Farley, I loved the prospect. I got scared when he had another back procedure. He had another one. Very real chance that Caleb Farley will just never be good in the NFL because he's just going to be injury prone the entire time, kind of like Jason Verrett. When he played, he was good. He was great. Was never actually healthy. Farley hasn't even gotten to Verrett status yet in terms of being out there on the field. So it's basically a get rid of Kelvin Joseph trade.